What's up everybody and welcome to the Fight Franchise and our recap and review of the main event of UFC 305 where Israel Adesanya took on Dricus Du Plessis for the undisputed middleweight title. This bout going into it was very hyped and heated since last year, since what was it called? Before even International Fight Week when Dricus Du Plessis beat Robert Whittaker, there was a lot of kind of racial undertones, shall we say, or kind of undertones on who is the real king of Africa and who is the real king of what, and a lot of kind of heat going into this fight. And the build-up of the fight was very weird because back in UFC 290 when Du Plessis beat Robert Whittaker, he was going to be the next title contender and they were going to fight at UFC 293, and then Du Plessis was injured, couldn't fight, and Strickland just threw a spanner in the works, beating Izzy for the title, and then that caused a bunch of chaos. Du Plessis goes on to face Strickland at the start of this year in January. I think it was UFC 297. He beats Strickland for the undisputed title, and now the roles are reversed. Before it was Israel Adesanya champion, now Du Plessis was champion going into the fight. We all knew Du Plessis wanted his first title defense to be against Adesanya. It was just up in the air on when Adesanya was going to fight and when he could fight. The UFC found the date and it was at UFC 305 in Australia. And it was a very kind of, going into it, tame bout. With the first press conference we had to hype up the bout was very tame. The second press conference wasn't crazy, but it was kind of like weird seeing the power dynamics between the two where, they have a couple of back and forths and it felt like Du Plessis won the press conference just because of the fact, Izzy got emotional and was talking about, I fight for my family, and he was crying on stage. And then it kind of played into the fight, and I'm going to kind of go and give my thoughts and into the fight. But yeah, it was very fun and heated going into it, and it kind of built as the fight went on. At first we thought it was going to be like a dead kind of heat going into it, like they hated each other, and since Izzy lost the title he didn't have the power, so he kind of yapped it down a bit, but it was heated. The bout took place, and I will kind of break down my thoughts on the bout. So the first round kind of takes place, and both guys are striking on the feet. I think Izzy looks great on the feet. I did predict Izzy to win a decision, and I'm going to kind of go on that, but it was really good. They were trading back and forth, and both guys were having success. Izzy was using his range and his striking, DDP, his power and his blitzes, and they were both landing. It was a very kind of even round. You could argue it either way. Some people had it for DDP, some people had it for Izzy. I think while I was watching it, I had it for Izzy, but if he gave it to DDP, it wouldn't bother me. Second round, Dricus did brilliant. He used his power, his striking, and kind of smothered Izzy with takedowns. I think Izzy came in real close, and straight away I think he was doing that kick that Izzy always does, and then Du Plessis shot for a double leg, got him down, and from there onwards, control, striking, damage, and Du Plessis did very well in that round, and we all thought this is going to kind of be the story of the fight going forward. But then Izzy showed like brilliant takedown defense going on from there, but it was a clear second round for DDP. They come out for the third round, and Du Plessis he's probably the best momentum fighter in the UFC. If you look at the Sean Strickland fight, he was losing 2 rounds. Once he won, but if you watch the Sean Strickland fight, he was losing 2 rounds. He lost the second round. But the end of the second round, he gets a takedown on Strickland, and Strickland's like, what the hell? And he just he doesn't win the round, but he wins a bit of momentum at the end of the second round, which takes him into the third, where he wins the third, and then it takes him into the fourth round, and he gets all this momentum back. And he's 2-2 going into the final round, which was a close fifth round. But he's a brilliant momentum fighter. When he gets momentum, he's like I say, he's a snowball. You throw him down a mountain, that snowball just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you can't stop it. And it's just a massive snowball, which is just impossible to stop. That's how DDP, I kind of articulate how he fights. He's a brilliant momentum-based fighter. And you're thinking, okay, he gets this momentum, he's going to do the same. Izzy did brilliantly to stop that momentum. DDP was fatigued coming out into the third round, and Izzy starts teeing off on him. Great body work by Izzy, body shots, liver shots, striking to the body, kicks to the body, and Izzy was mixing up his shots, and he was landing at will on DDP. Just DDP's a big, tough guy, and he's got a chin on him. And DDP midway through that round kind of has some success himself towards the end of the round, landing some strikes, and they're kind of very fatigued and not very sloppy, but very fatigued punching and striking back and forth, but it's all a bit slow and laboured. And but DDP still has power, but Izzy wins the third round. So you're saying it's 2-1 to either guy going into the final championship rounds. Fourth round starts, and I think Izzy's just doing better work than him. Izzy's kind of dominating him on the feet, landing at will and carrying on from the third round. And DDP's kind of like, not flustered, but he's trying his best. You see a lot of times DDP would like blitz him with like huge punches, and Izzy would wing out the way and DDP flies past him. And he's like, you know, you've got sloppy striking. And then the fourth round, they're kind of going back and forth. And this is where I say he's a momentum-based fighter. And I described it as rounds versus Strickland. It was a matter of a minute where he got momentum and he won the fight. They're striking back and forth and they're trading. And DDP has power. He's called Steel Knocks for a reason. He's built like a brick shithouse. He lands a huge flurry of punches. I can't remember if it was a 1-2 or a flurry of punches. And he kind of wobbles and stumbles Izzy. And straight away, Du Plessis smells blood. And he jumps on Izzy. Lands a couple of more punches. It was reminiscent to when Strickland had Izzy up against the fence, landing punches. Izzy kind of tumbles down. Straight away, Du Plessis on the back. Du Plessis got the back. And he's gotten the choke. He done this against Till when he got the back. Quite straight away, didn't waste any time, got the choke. Fight's over. Du Plessis gets the choke, and you're thinking, you know, Izzy's got good defense, but he's flattened out Izzy, and you know, Du Plessis put all his pressure on Izzy and all his weight on Izzy. He flattens him out, gets the choke, and first title defense is a successful one. But even in a matter of a minute, how he just shifted the momentum was fantastic. I thought it was an excellent win by Du Plessis, who showed great heart and courage. He looked sloppy. He looked rubbish. He still defies how he makes sense. I don't understand it, but he's a great fighter and he's proving everybody wrong. He doesn't look technically brilliant, but just the heart, the athleticism, the determination to win is just fantastic. And then, you know, post-fight, they bury the hatchet and they go their separate ways and say whatever, and you know what. But the one thing I will say about Du Plessis, better than probably, I'm trying to think of all the champions at the minute, he probably has the best mentality. You can't faze the guy. I think everyone makes jokes about him. Izzy was making jokes about Du Plessis during the build-up. Everyone says he's sloppy, he's crap, he can't fight. You know, they say he's a bit sus with his coach and whatnot. But he's just so secure in his own being as a person. Like, you can't waver him. Like, at the press conference when, you know, he's going back and forth, and Strickland's a trash talker. Strickland couldn't get under his skin. The minute Du Plessis mentions his dad, Strickland's off the rails going mad, and Strickland loses his cool, and then Du Plessis laughing. Because I feel like Du Plessis, he might have skeletons in his closet, but Du Plessis doesn't have any skeletons in his closet, so you can't really get him at anything. He's just very secure in himself, and he's the champion. And the way he kind of presents himself is like this upstanding citizen, because he is a kind of gentlemanly dude. So going into this, he's just built the supreme confidence in himself, which is unwavering. And that going into the fights, I think, is now brilliant for him, especially with a title defense like this. Like the Izzy fight, when Izzy's kind of, you know, he's the one who riles up Izzy and gets him emotional. And he goes, I'm fighting for my family. And Du Plessis is like, I don't care. I'm fighting to win and become champion and be the best middleweight in the world. And Du Plessis kind of built this kind of, lack of a better terms, aura around him, where it's like he's unwavering in the sense he'll fight anyone, go out there, you know, fight and just do the best he can just to become champion. So I feel like he's slowly becoming a nightmare for this division and could potentially be a good champion for the next year or so. It's just styles make fights, and if there's a style that comes along which can exploit his sloppiness, he's in big trouble. But credit to Du Plessis, in 1 minute, shifted the fight, the momentum of the fight, swung it and took over. You know, rocked him, smelt blood and got him out of there. He did the same with Whittaker. You know, Whittaker, he did dominate Whittaker in his fight, but rocked him, smelt blood, got him out of there. Going forward, there could be some fun potential bouts for him. You know, Alex Pereira, Sean Strickland, Robert Whittaker, potentially Hamzat, who knows? But it's looking like the beginning of the Du Plessis era. If I was the UFC, now better than ever. You can turn him around for December if you can. January and February, set up a South Africa pay-per-view for him. hopefully Whittaker wins, because Whittaker would be willing to go South Africa and fight there. Sean Strickland would just be a nightmare in South Africa. And Hamzat Chimaev, if he beats Whittaker, will probably get ill in South Africa, so you lose that title shot. So if Whittaker wins, do UFC South Africa at the beginning of next year for Du Plessis. He deserves it, and the kind of that region deserves a big pay-per-view. Why not? And you can load it with other stars. As for Izzy, tough loss. It is quite sad to see. I know a lot of people don't like him. They're not his biggest fans. I'm not his biggest fan per se. Like, sometimes I'm a big fan of his. Sometimes I'm like, meh. He's quite boring, you know what I mean? In his fight style, he's very conservative and he just dominates people. But he's been one of the most active champions and active fighters in recent years. You know, I remember there was a time period, I'm trying to think who was the fighter. It was Habib was one of them. He got one title defense a year out of him. Izzy was giving us 2 or 3 a year. You know, he was an active champion in calendar months. There was like 15 months he had 5 title fights. You know, he served his purpose at the top of the division. He's a future Hall of Famer. You know, second greatest middleweight of all time. His career is set in stone. You know, no one can take that away from Izzy. And if he decides, yeah, it's my time to walk, which I think he should, unless there's like a super fight you can make for him, which is entertaining. I just don't know what that super fight is for him right now. I feel like he wants to avenge the Strickland loss, but other than that, he's not going to go up to light heavyweight because I don't think he's allowed to skip the queue now. So he'd have to get a title eliminator at light heavyweight before he can fight Alex. But the UFC, you never know. If for example, Alex is still champion, he's about to fight Ankalaev after he beats Roundtree, Ankalaev pulls out, they'll go, hey, Izzy, short notice title shot against Alex Pereira. He might take it. But yeah, I think Israel is done at the highest level, which is sad to say. But he can get him back in the title picture, but he's not got many years left. He's 35, 36 years old. You know, he's at the latter end of his career, but excellent career. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and opinions of the UFC 305 main event. Credit to Dricus Du Plessis. Keeps proving me wrong every time in excellent fashion. And like I said, best momentum-based fighter in the world. What did you guys think of the UFC 305 main event? Put your predictions down. Put your reviews down in the comments below. What you thought of the fight. What you want to see next for both guys. Do you want to see Du Plessis fight Alex Pereira after he called him out? Do you want to see Du Plessis fight Strickland, Rob, Chimaev, somebody else? Let us know your predictions on that in the comments down below. What do you want to see next for Izzy? Do you want him to retire? Do you want Izzy to, you know, fight some contenders, be the co-main event of some big cards? Who knows? Let us know down in the comments below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video and we'll catch you in the next one.